So what do we get it for? 140 paid?
Yeah, so you can double that, I'd say almost.
280, no.
250?
No, less. Less, you need to be, bought for 140, you need to be able to let that go at 180. You do, Tom. You know, if you can get 200, great.
Yeah.
If somebody offers you 180, you take it, okay? But all in all, an interesting call, a good call, another connection.
For their final visit, Drew is taking his son 100 miles further north, to the Lake District. After falling in love with their collection on his last visit 10 years ago, Drew's returning to Lakeland Motor Museum. He wants to teach Tom how to approach a buying trip to a museum or collection, another excellent source of antiques for any budding dealer.
Today, Toms, we are off to meet a very nice man called Chris, who runs the Lakeland Motor Museum, which I went to about a decade ago.
Yeah, I think maybe you talking about that.
It's got a real bit of heart and soul. Being a museum, they get given stuff constantly, right? Donations, wanted or not, and they have to accept.
Keep it.
Yeah, and they've got to keep it. So, you know how many museums call up on a, well, monthly basis wanting to sell us stuff. It's constant, isn't it? Never stops.
All the time.
They're always clearing out. They're always clearing out stuff.
We've only got so much storage space.
Yeah.
And their archives get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's a great museum, though. I know you're not massively into cars.
Well, it'll be an educational experience for me.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah, you know, just like school, I'm probably going to be late.
Best known for Wordsworth's daffodils and Beatrix Potter's rabbits, the Lake District is also home to an important collection celebrating the joys of the open road, the Lakeland Motor Museum. Set in the picturesque Leven Valley, the museum's 30,000 exhibits include 140 classic cars and motorbikes. Though the museum dates to the 1970s, it moved to its present site in 2010 with a mission to rev up some very special motoring memories for visitors. Pritchard and Son will be shown round by someone who remembers Drew's passion for cars very well. Manager Chris Lowe.
I have a feeling if we chopped him in half, he's got Volkswagen or Porsche written through him. I've never met Tom before, but I'm sure they'll have a nice look round, and I'm sure there'll be a few things of interest for them.
Nice. There you go. Chris.
Nice to see you
again. How are you doing? You all right?
Welcome back to the Lakeland Motor Museum.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is my son, Tom.
Nice to meet you,
Chris,
Tom.
hi, how you doing?
He's come along for the day. He has witnessed all my sort of petrol head.
Have you passed it down?
To an extent. Maybe just not as emphatic.
I'll test you on the way around. We'll see how far it's...
Don't be too harsh on me.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Let's go and have a look. He should know some bits, to be honest with you, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember the motorbike that fell on your Uncle Guy?
Yeah. One of those.
Yep.
He's always said I'm never allowed one, so...
He's never allowed a motorbike.
Yeah.
No.
We'll see.
If he gets a motorbike, I'll bury it. Oh, now you're talking. Yes, please.
What is that?
That is a Messerschmitt.
It's a Messerschmitt.
Great car.
Among the classic cars, several of the exhibits pay tribute to another father and son duo, speed legends Malcolm and Donald Campbell, who both broke records on land and water.
You know, like you're not allowed motorbikes?
Yeah.
He wouldn't let his son have anything to do with racing. So he sold off his car and his boat and left the money to Donald. So Donald bought back the car and the boat.
Father Malcolm Campbell broke the land speed record in his famous car, the Bluebird, in 1935. Over 30 years later, in 1967, his son Donald Campbell broke the water speed record in his boat, also named Bluebird. But whilst attempting another record on nearby Coniston Water, he tragically crashed and died.
Is that part of the boat?
Yes, it's part of the wreckage that was brought out of Coniston in 1967.
And that's a model of the boat there?
Yes.
Wow.
Donald Campbell, 4th of January 1967, trying to break 300 miles per hour on water.
On water?
Yeah.
With such rare exhibits definitely not for sale, no matter how deep Drew's pockets are, Chris leads the way to the storage sheds where surplus items are kept.
Little light?
Little, big.
Well, you know, got all the joints.
God, that's a big one. It's a task lamp, 50s task lamp, late 50s. Galvanised on there, original enamel, vitreous enamel shade. You work in here on something, you grab that, clamp it on so you can get a better view of it. That's all it is. It's a really heavy-duty thing, this. I mean, I can just about squeeze it. It's really full on. How much?
Well, you tell me.
150?
Yours?
Thank you. God almighty, Chris.
He's getting weak in his old age.
Oh.
Bless him.
It's very much now part of the norm in antique shops to see industrial lighting. When I first started, it very, very much wasn't. It was laughed at, it was sneered at, it was looked down on. It's good, stylish lighting, lasts forever.
You know, you were talking
That's
Malcolm Campbell.
made.
That's the 1935 car,
That's the
Meccano.
That's the Campbell car.
Yeah, so as far as I know, Meccano sent out like a pattern and you made it.
Chris goes, what about this? And brings down this piece of Meccano. And it's of Bluebird. I have a real love for anything to do with Malcolm, particularly, and Donald Campbell. And it's just a time when Britain was great and machinery was massive and dangerous and crazy, and they were chasing a dream in incredibly unsafe vehicles. And I love the madness of it, and I love the aesthetic of it as well. 150 springs to mind.
Can you make it 2?
Just trying to meet in the middle, 175, because there's not loads of money in it, and it hasn't come with a box or the plans, and I don't think it's complete.
Even though they would have been, to an extent, mass-produced.
It was mass-produced, but they were toys.
So they were broken.
They were broken.
Right.
And lads, what would a little lad do with that?
Yeah.
Smash
chuck it down
7
the
bells
stairs.
out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, 175 I think I'd be happy with, because as Tom will tell you, what's going to happen to that?
It's going to go in our living room, kitchen. I think our collection of model cars might rival this.
It's yours at 175.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's great. Interesting.
Nice.
Interesting. Very happy with that. That's lovely, Chris. That's going to a very loving new home. Right then.
Let's keep looking.
So I end up paying a ridiculous £175 for this thing. That's nuts. But I really wanted it.
It's a vase
For your dashboard.
for your dashboard.
So these were sometimes made by a firm called Rosenthal. I don't know who made that one.
There's a pair
That
there.
one might be so these are called bud vases.
Yeah.
Right? And you bolt that to the dashboard of your car, because what you need on the dashboard of a car is a piece of cut glass.
Yeah.
Right?
And you put a flower in it.
And you put a flower in it. During the 1950s, you could buy these as accessories.
Right.
And a Rosenthal,
This one's a Roscoe. It's American.
typical American, they're a bit bigger than normal and not quite as good. That's okay. There's a pair. That's unusual. It's really unusual. I've never seen a pair.
Dating to a time when motoring was still a glamorous business, this pair of 1950s American bud vases were an off-the-shelf motor accessory that could be bolted to a dashboard to hold flowers. Made of cut and etched glass, unused and in the original box, they could be worth around £250.
These would be of interest.
I'm struggling for value.
Right, if these one I could fit to an old VW and Porsche, they'd hold a lot more money.
Yes.
But they don't. I'm coming back to a similar figure, 150.
Is that the best you can do?
Father and son Drew and Tom Pritchard are on a buying trip to a motor museum in the Lake District.
He has witnessed all my sort of petrol head.
Have you passed it down?
To an extent, to an extent.
And a couple of unusual cut glass dashboard bud vases have caught Drew's eye.
150.
Is that the best you can do?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you 175 quid for them.
Okay.
Yeah, fine,
Lovely,
thank you.
thank you.
Don't need to make loads of money, just make, as long as we can make a turn. But at different times.
Very
Driving around with a flower in your car, it's not a bad thing. These could go either place. They could go to a car enthusiast who's got a Hudson Terraplane or Cadillac and wants to stick them in, or they could go to somebody who's just going to put them either side of a bed so you could have a flower next to your bed. How nice would that be? God, it's like heaven, isn't it? It's wonderful. Just get to poke around in all this stuff all day.
Yeah.
This is why I love what we do, you know, just for this. Now, this does interest me. It's not old.
No, museum was founded in 1978, so I think there were quite a lot of them produced to decorate the museum when it first opened.
That's a copy of the sign off the front gate,
Yeah.
right? Because I own the sign off the front gate of the Bugatti factory, and it's screwed to our living room door. And it's
Is
about
that why I recognise
that
it?
big. That's why you
Really
recognise it.
small thing.
Yeah, you know the thing you walk past every day?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a copy of that sign. I'd really like to buy that. I'm not buying anything I can sell today.
No.
How much do you think that's worth?
I honestly
Roughly.
can't tell.
So you've got to look at it. So it's not old.
Yeah.
It's big. It's
Yeah.
decorative.
Because of the size of it,
Yeah.
$250
Retail or purchase?
purchase.
Right, you're 50 quid over.
Right, okay.
But now he said it.
That was my concern. I was going to make you overpay.
I always
You
think
just have.
start low and go up.
Yeah.
Because once you've gone high...
I would have gone in at 150
And gone up.
to try and get it for 2.
Sorry.
That's okay.
2 will buy it, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. I'm over the moon with that. Marvellous. Right, keep going. Can I make some money now? Bugatti, for me, really is like the pinnacle of pretty much everything. You know, and anything that's got Bugatti on, I want it. It's pathetic, really, but I want it. Did I see that before?
It was here before.
What's the base on it like?
Seems to be copper all the way
It
through.
seems to have galvanised steel up the back.
We're having a good look round all Chris's stuff upstairs, and there's a glazed copper display case. This is for putting a map, a menu, a poster. It's that type of thing. It's designed to be outside forever. It's got a pleasing patina to the whole thing. Largely original. 300.
Is that the best? Any more legs in it? We're going to use the money for good purposes. Sport the museum.
Oh, it really twisting your leg now.
It's really,
Really is.
Yeah, 350.
It's yours.
Thank you very much. Really interesting. Do you know what I think it'll be? I think it'll make the most wonderful bathroom cabinet. Really interesting.
I was thinking just its
Really-
first purpose, back outside a nice restaurant, menu.
That too. Love it. I think we end up at 350 quid for it, which seems like a lot. But, right, what I'm doing is I'm buying potential. So that with a mirror in the back of it, the lock's all working, some nice hanging clips on it, you know, a light inside it, all nice and clean. What's that worth then? 800 to 1,200 quid all day long. So there's money there, real money. I've just bought something that's got profit in it. Chris, I'm done. Let's go. Time to load the van.
Yep.
Today has been just great fun. It's really nice to be back here anyway, but to bring my son back here, he was a nipper, you know, when I came here last, and now he's carrying furniture in the back of the vans for me as well. It's you know, any day out with your son working or one of your children working is always going to be great.
It's been educational. It's been fun. I've learned a few things from Chris and Dad, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Nice to meet Tom today. Nice to see the father and son relationship. You know, father asking son's opinion because, you know, he's got to help sell it, and a different input.
So what do you think of that then?
That was a good day.
Nice fella, isn't he?
Really, yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
absolutely.
A gent.
Bit of a personal buying day for you. Bit like a kid in a candy store, really.
Yeah. It shouldn't have been. Look, I will let some of them go. The Malcolm Campbell Meccano, right?
Yeah.
I'll sell that.
Just sell it.
I'll sell it. Let that go. Then the that big cabinet, the big glazed cabinet, right?
Yeah, I like that.
We'll go through that, do some work to it, make it more palatable for people to use, make it easier for them to hang,
Yeah.
and that'll go.
No, you've done well. You've covered your own expenses for the day.
Yeah.
Intrigued by Drew's purchase of the Meccano car, Rebecca has come to Brighton to find out more about it. She's visiting Christopher Littledale at the city's Toy and Model Museum.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for inviting me into this amazing museum.
Thank you.
I wouldn't be here if you didn't have this sort of Meccano magic sort of display. So can you tell me the history behind Meccano?
Well, Meccano was started by Frank Hornby. Famous name, of course, known by the trains, but he was the man who produced or invented Meccano before the turn of the last century, so going before 1900. And it was Christmas time, and he wanted to find a present for his children. And he, of course, lived outside Liverpool. Liverpool is full of cranes and bridges and sort of structures in metal. And he saw all this stuff, and he thought, my goodness, if I made strips of metal and various shapes with holes punched in and very small-sized nuts and bolts, this would be a toy that the children could play with, and then they coined the phrase Meccano.
Is it collectible now?
It is collectible, but it has to be in extremely good condition to fetch anything like good prices.
So this is a Meccano car that Drew bought from the Lakeland Motor Museum, and it's of the Bluebird.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like a 1950s model, judging by the green. Yeah, interesting thing.
Does it have a value?
Yes, it does. Somebody would probably give £300 or £400 for
Would
it.
they?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Christopher, thank you so much. It's been a joy. Christopher's passion is second to none. What a delightful man. What wonderful knowledge. And OK, Drew's doubled his money, but that's not what it's about. It's all about this joyousness that you get from revisiting your childhood.
After a week on the road, father and son take the time to look back on an eventful week, crisscrossing the country, learning a few insider tricks on how to become a successful antiques dealer.
So you've done a week on the road. We've done an antiques fair. We've been to see a dealer and went to a car museum, which, you know, obviously I'm going to want to go to anyway.
Yeah.
Used to drag you kicking and screaming around those car museums.
Yeah, and antique fairs.
And antique fairs. Now you have to do it all the time.
Yeah, I know.
We bought well, met nice people.
Travelled a lot.
Well, that's the job. That, for me, is the joy of it.
Yeah.
You have to love every second of it and be prepared to do everything. There's a lot more to learn, but really, the reality of it is it just comes down to your eye and how hard you'll work. You can be taught everything else, you can read everything else, but you can't teach an eye. Not really. Not really. You've either got it or you haven't.
Well, fingers crossed then, eh?
Fingers crossed.